Welcome to r/Reddit Revenge. This is a story of someone getting back at someone with revenge after being wronged. Thank you friends for subscribing to the channel, and for so many likes. The first story. Employee parked in a usual spot, but a woman accused her of parking in a handicap spot. Woman complained to the employee's manager, but the security footage proved the employee's innocence. The second story. Guy called me a race traitor. I got him fired from not one but two jobs. The third story. Family sells rural house to young couple who tries to negotiate a lower price due to evidence of rats. Dad finds revenge by leaving a fake rat in the hall closet before leaving. And the first story is mad over a parking spot. I work at a grocery store. Most of the employees park to the side of the building, but it's also close to the front doors. I parked in the same spot roughly every day along with all my other coworkers. I was leaving work yesterday and I was about to get into my car when a lady pulls up in front of my car and rolls her window down and starts yelling at me saying, "How dare you be so inconsiderate and park in a handicapped parking spot when you're clearly not handicapped? You need to move right now so I can park there." I explained to her that I'm not parked in a handicapped parking spot. There's no handicap signs or blue markings, and that I am parked where most employees park. And if she gives me a few minutes, I will move so she can take my spot. But that wasn't working for her. She started going off on me about being ignorant and rude and inconsiderate people who actually need that spot when right in front of where I'm parked are 3 open handicap parking spots directly in front of the store. And this lady also has nothing that indicates that she's handicapped. She looks like she's maybe in her 40s, and yes, I know a lot of disabilities you cannot see. So I proceed to tell her again that I did nothing wrong. I'm not parked in a handicapped spot, and that a lot of the employees park here. She refuses to move and decides to continue screaming, so I just get in my car and shut the door. She backs up so I can get out while screaming at me for being ignorant that I parked in a handicapped parking spot. So I decided I didn't have to be anywhere and I'm moving into this parking spot. Also, there are multiple other parking spots open around me, so I sit here, turn my radio up so I can't hear until she finally gets mad at people honking at her for blocking the way and moves. She parks, not in any of the 3 open handicap spots, and gets out of her car, slamming her door shut while still giving me an ugly look. She got halfway to the doors when I finally decided to pull out to leave. She started walking back to her car. I'm assuming to move her car into the spot I just pulled out of, when another car pulled up and parked in it. I know this isn't the best petty revenge, but it still was satisfying to that other car pull in and take my spot after me. I'm sure she was peeved. I kinda wish I would've drove past her to see how mad she was. Update. I got into work this morning and Karen had went into my work after all this and asked to speak with my manager. She told him that she's seen me leaving and waited for my spot, and I was extremely rude to her. She told him once I noticed her waiting for the spot that I got out my car and started yelling at her that I was saving this spot for someone else, and she needed to move along. She said that after I yelled at her, she nicely told me that spots are not allowed to be saved for anyone, and she needed that spot due to just having been at the doctor, and had a horrible chest infection and wasn't supposed to be out in the cold for long periods of time due to this, and she was forced to park at the back of the parking lot. She did park in the back, but there was a lot of open spots closer. One even closer than I was that there were not handicapped. I told my boss my side of the story and told him to check the camera. My boss knows I'm not someone to be rude to anyone unless they deserve it. He checked the camera and seen everything I said lined up, and she was the one that started it and said I did exactly what he would have done. He told me she said she would be back to find out how things have been handled and I better be fired for it. He gave me a mile card, a $5 gift card for the store employees get when they do something good, or get a compliment from a customer, and said if or when she comes back in that he will handle it and he will be saving the copy of the video and is sending it to corporate with the details of what happened in case she decided to call corporate and complain. Karma's a parking spot thief. It's justice that as soon as the employee leaves, someone else swoops in and takes the spot Karen was so desperately fighting for. It's like the universe was saying, sorry Karen, but you can't always get what you want. First of all, Karen needs to learn how to read signs before she starts yelling at innocent people. There were 3 open handicapped spots right in front of the store, and yet she decided to target the poor employee who wasn't even parked in a handicapped spot. And on top of that, she had the audacity to go complain to the manager, twisting the story to make herself look like the victim. I feel bad for the manager who has to deal with Karen's nonsense. But it's great that the employee had a clear alibi with the video footage. In the end, Karen's ridiculous accusations were debunked, and the employee got a reward for their troubles. And it's great that the employee had the support for their boss. Hopefully Karen learned her lesson and will think twice before trying to bully someone over a parking spot again. The second story is, Call me a race trader and a PM on Reddit? Let's destroy your life. A few years ago on a different Reddit account, I mentioned that I was in an interracial relationship. A Redditor reached out to me and told me I was a race traitor and unfaithful to my race. I was like, WTF, bro? I looked at his account. It was 6 years old, which told me his username was likely something he used a lot. So I started Googling his username at Gmail, username at Yahoo, etc., and I found a match with Hotmail. A guy by the name of, let's say, Jeff was selling some NFL game tickets and had posted his email. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean it's the same person. However, in the post, he mentioned a city in America and that he was a fan of a particular football team. I went through the Reddit user post history. He posted quite a bit in the respective city subreddit. He mentioned going to NFL games, and in another post, he also said he was born in Canada. So through the ad for the NFL ticket, I figured out his real name. I found his biography on his employer's website. He was a senior level manager, so they had a bio for him. In that bio, they mentioned he was born in Canada, was a fan of said NFL team, and loved living in the city. I also found his LinkedIn page during this time. So I sent him a connect request on LinkedIn, which he accepted. I figured he would because he had 500 plus connections. So here's what we know. His username matches his email handle. He likes the NFL team. He lives in said city, that he posts in said city's subreddit. He was born in Canada. I then found his Facebook page. His Facebook page was public, and he posted what I would describe as semi-racist material. Also, his Reddit page was significantly more racist. Based on the numerous connecting factors, I determined, so I created a report. I included screenshots and links and summarized my findings in that report. Now, based on this person's position in his company, he likely had a significant role in deciding who this company employs. Also, his company clearly stated they were an equal opportunity employer. So I called their HR department. I found the number and I called them, and I asked them, would you be concerned if a senior level manager in your organization was a proud racist and degraded your equal opportunity employment policies? They were concerned. So I told them I had done an investigation into one of their senior level managers and described he was racist, and I had put together all my evidence and findings in a report and could email it over to them. I emailed them the report. A few weeks later, I called to get an update and I was told they appreciated my report. However, they would have to comment on the status of their decision and make public statements in regard. Basically, thanks for letting us know, but we aren't going to tell you SH. That's fine. So I waited another month, and I kept checking his LinkedIn page. Then one day I saw a LinkedIn post from him in which he said he's looking for a new opportunity, and if anyone had any positions open. So I messaged him on Reddit and I told him, hey bro, heard you got fired. Just want you to know I'm the reason why. He threatened to find out who I was to hunt me down. So I reported him to Reddit admins who promptly permabanned him. Now he really should have learned his lesson, because guess what? He didn't connect the dots. He didn't know I could see all his LinkedIn activity. He didn't know who I was. He simply acted in rage. So I put his newest message in his folder and added it to the report. Because you see I can be an incredibly vindictive MF. I checked his LinkedIn once a week. Good news, he got another job. Bad news, their HR department was also quite easy to get a hold of and discuss their new hires online. Racist threatening behavior. However, let's say I had a lovely conversation with this HR representative. She was a woman, and based on how she sounded and her name, I suspect she was a woman of color. So yeah, I'm not sure what happened after this, because a few weeks later his internet history was cleaned up, and his LinkedIn page was deleted. However, this company listed their senior management, which was what his position was. I never saw his name listed. What I suspect happened is after his HR reviewed my evidence, they terminated his employment with them. I would have totally gone after him a third time, but he got smart the second time around. Hey, by the way, Jeff, if you see this post, I'd love for you to send me a new message. I really enjoyed the little game I played with you. I also questioned how did you handle getting fired from 2 jobs back-to-back on your resume and in future job interviews. Wow, that's some next-level revenge. Someone learned the hard way that being a racist on the internet can have real-life consequences. You didn't just get even, you got him fired twice. You really went above and beyond to ruin this guy's life. You found his email, his Facebook, his LinkedIn, and even got him fired from his job. I wonder if he'll think twice before sending another hate-filled PM to someone. I'm surprised you didn't find out where he lived and have a billboard made with his face and the words racist and unemployed in bold letters. The best part of this story has to be when you messaged him on Reddit to let him know you got him fired. I hope you're not too disappointed that you didn't get to go after him a third time. But in all seriousness, let this be a lesson to everyone out there. Don't be a racist or any other kind of bigot online. It's not cool, it's not funny, and it can have real-life consequences. Plus, you never know who's watching or who's willing to be an incredibly vindictive MF. The last story is the rat problem. Before I begin, I'd like to make it known this story actually belongs to my father. This was about 13 or 14 years ago. My parents had both found really good job opportunities in a city halfway across the country. This meant that we had to sell the house and move away. They got a number of offers, but the best one came from a young couple just starting up their family. I don't know the exact details since I was still in preschool, but apparently they were being pretty fair. That is, until they came to see us with the rat problem. Essentially, they said they'd done some investigating and had seen evidence of rats around the property, and wanted a few $1,000s off. We were in a pretty rural suburb in the middle of the woods. Of course there were rats. My parents ended up negotiating with them and came to an agreement, but it left a sour taste in their mouths since it ended up costing them some money. Now for the revenge. My mother, sister, and I had all shipped off to stay at a hotel and relax while Dad volunteered to pack stuff up before driving our 2 dogs cross-country. We don't deserve the man. As he was cleaning out my sister and I's play loft in the barn, he finds one of my old toys, a big lifelike rubber rat. Being a petty genius, Dad set the fake rat in the corner of the hall closet at eye level the night before he left with the dogs, and promptly forgot about it, not telling anyone what he did and never expecting to hear about it again. Fast forward to a year later and we're back in town visiting family. While we're there, Dad, my sister, and I stopped by our old neighbor's antique shop to say hi and catch up. Their kids were both there, so we went outside to catch up while our parents talked adult. That's when the oldest asked us, "Did you hear about the rat?" Apparently, the night the family had moved in, the mother was putting towels into the hall closet when she opened it to see a rat. She immediately called up the exterminator and had him come out right away, even though doing that costed extra since it was quite late at night. The exterminator opens the closet, sees the rat, and plucks it out. He apparently found it hilarious as he tossed it at the wife's feet and handed her the bill. Then he walked out of the house laughing. After a while, the family found the humor in it and told our neighbors, who in turn told my sister and I. As we were pulling away, the 2 of us filled Dad in on what had occurred. He was laughing so hard he actually had to park the car to let himself get it all out. He'd never thought he'd get to find out what came of his little prank, and the fact that he got to had him just filled with joy. We still tell the story every once in a while, so I thought I'd share it here. The rat problem was more of a rat prank. Dad deserves an award for his masterful petty revenge. The exterminator's reaction is priceless, tossing the fake rat at the wife's feet and handing her the bill. It's a good thing the family eventually found the humor in the situation because it would have been a rat-tastrophe otherwise. Dad's prank may have cost him a few $1,000s, but the entertainment value is priceless. Just goes to show revenge is best served with a side of humor, and maybe a fake rat or two. Thanks for watching, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel.